to live with radical abandonment for his glory. So you go back to Matthew chapter 4, verse 17. Jesus says right before this, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. That word repent literally means to renounce, to acknowledge, to confess your sin, to express sorrow over your sin, to turn from your sin, to renounce your sin and yourself. Jesus later says in Luke chapter 14, verse 33, any of you who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple. And this kind of renouncing is all over this passage. You think about these disciples and what they were renouncing, what they were abandoning, what they were leaving behind as they followed Jesus. So just think about them for a minute. They were leaving behind their comfort, leaving behind everything that was familiar for them, all that was natural for them, leaving comfort for uncertainty. Jesus didn't tell them where they were going. He just told them who they'd be with. There's a whole sermon right there. Followers of Jesus don't always know where they're going, but they always know who they're with. We don't have time for that sermon. So they were leaving behind their comfort. Second, they were leaving behind their careers. This was an abandonment of profession for these guys, at least temporarily. And we'll come back to how this applies to us, but just think through the lens of their lives. They were leaving behind comfort, careers. They were leaving behind possessions. They dropped their nets. Now, these guys were obviously not the most economically elite in their society, but the fact that they had a boat, a successful trade as fishermen, shows these men had much to lose in following Christ. And we find out later they still had a boat, still had some various other things, but the reality is at this moment, they followed Jesus with nothing in their hands. Nothing in their hands. Their possessions, their position, this is huge. It was common in that day for people to attach themselves to teachers in order to promote themselves. That's why you would follow a rabbi in that day. The problem here with these disciples is that this was not a step up the ladder for them. This was a step down the ladder. The rabbi they were following would eventually find himself crucified as a criminal on a cross. They were leaving behind their families. James and John leave their father. They're not the only ones to do this. Remember Luke chapter 9, where Jesus says to a man who wants to just go back and say goodbye to his family, he says, don't look back. Put your hand to the plow. Look forward. Their families, their friends, their safety. This is a rabbi, a teacher who would soon say to them, I'm going to send you out like sheep among wolves. Not good news. All men will hate you because of me. They will persecute you. They were abandoning their safety. Following Jesus obviously meant leaving behind their sin. It's the core of what it means to repent, to turn from our sin, and all of this pointing ultimately to how they were abandoning themselves. This is the message that Jesus would say to them over and over and over again. If you're going to follow after me, you must deny yourself. In a world where everything revolves around protecting yourself, promoting yourself, preserving yourself, entertaining yourself, comforting yourself, taking care of yourself, Jesus says, slay yourself. So don't buy it. And church leaders don't sell it. So many Christians have bought it and so many church leaders have sold it. This idea that all you need to do is make a decision, pray a prayer, sign a card, become a Christian, and you keep your life as you know it. It's not true. You become a follower of Jesus and you lose your life as you know it. Now, I want to be careful here. I'm not saying, nor could I say, based on the whole of the New Testament, every follower of Jesus must lose their career, sell, give away all their possessions, leave their family behind, physically die for the gospel. But the New Testament is absolutely clear on these things. For all who follow Jesus, comfort and certainty in this world are no longer our concerns. Our career now revolves around whatever Jesus calls us to do and however he wants to use us and our careers to spread the good news of his kingdom. Our possessions are not our own. We no longer live for material pleasure in this world. We forsake material pleasure in this world in order to live for eternal treasure in a world to come. And this could mean any one of us selling everything we have. Position, no longer our priority. When it comes to family, absolutely. Based on the whole of the New Testament, we are commanded, honor our parents, to love wife or husband, provide for children. So you can't use passages like this to justify being a lousy son or daughter or spouse or parents or whatever. But our love for Jesus, according to Matthew chapter 10, should make love for our closest family members look like hate in comparison. Wherever he says to go, we go, knowing that because self is no longer our God, safety is no longer our priority.